What about Shots Bakery? The flu shot. I feel a little silly saying that. You know what? I'm going to have a shot right now of this delicious milk. Well, hello, Inyo and Mono communities and internet land. This is Eddie Davis again, back with some more hope shots to fill you full of hope. A quick shot here, all right? We're back with another teaching on holiness or being set apart. It's a churchy word. Don't get thrown off by holiness. But it simply means being set apart for God, doing life His way, following Jesus. That's what we're all about. So this message, the recaps on practical living. The message is called Down to Brass Tacks. And if you've heard of that little idiom or that saying, it basically means getting to the point. What's the point? You see brass tacks on furniture, they're those little nails, and they're the end of the job. They're the last little nails you put in. You finish the job off. They're visible. The three things I wanted everyone to remember about them is they're visible, they're practical, you can see the job that they're doing, and they're to the point. Okay? So that's what this message is all about. I just want to put some hope in you this week that we can live this way, the way that Jesus wanted us to. The message was mainly based around the story of this guy from Samaria that Jesus told. So on one occasion it says in Luke, I got my Bible here, in Luke chapter 10, it says on one occasion there was a religious expert who stood up and wanted to test Jesus. And he said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you understand it?" The expert answered, "Love the Lord your God first with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus said to him, "You have answered correctly." So think about that right there. That's the secret to life right there. Loving God first, and then loving your neighbor as you love yourself. How hard is that, though? Okay? Well, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get to the point. Okay. Jesus said to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But the expert, wanting to justify himself, how much do we want to justify ourselves? And just say, the way I'm living's fine. I'm just getting real with you. I do this, you do this. Okay? We need to deal with that. So wanting to justify himself, the expert said to Jesus, "But who is my neighbor?" Then Jesus told him a story to illustrate a reply, okay? So there are these two people groups that despised each other, the Samaritans and the Jews, all right? I can't go into it in this short video to tell you the backstory. They despised each other, though. And particularly the Jews despised the Samaritans. They thought they were better than the Samaritans. So Jesus told him the story to illustrate how he should love his neighbor. Jesus said there's a Jewish man who got beat up and left for dead by robbers. Left, bloodied. They stole all his possessions. Some religious people passed this beaten and bloodied person by on the road, and they didn't even stop to help him. And they thought maybe the robbers will beat me up and take my stuff too. That's what Jesus told the story. And then a guy from Samaria came by. Now, normally this guy should despise the Jewish person and leave him for dead and pass on by. But this guy has compassion on the beaten up man. He stops, he cleans his wounds, he puts some clothes back on him, puts him on his donkey, and takes him to a hotel, to an inn, pays for his room there, and pays for food, and says to the innkeeper, he goes as far as to say, "I'm going on my journey, but I'll be back, and if this guy needs any more help, I'll pay for it." Wow. Talk about love. Right now, remember what I said? Visible, practical, to the point. This guy met all those needs. He was beaten up. He cleaned his wounds. He paid for his food for him to get back on his feet. This is what it means to follow Jesus, down to the brass tacks. Being set apart for God means following Jesus' example, not trying to justify ourselves like this religious expert did. We don't want to be that. We want to be the people who are practical, doing the work, stepping out there. Jesus asked the religious expert to end this story. He said, "So which one was a neighbor to the man who got beaten up?" And the religious expert was convicted and said, well, the one who had mercy on him. And Jesus said, go and do the same. Okay? So there you go, down to brass tacks. We're going to keep going in this series of down to brass tacks, the practical, the visible, the practical, the to the point holiness. What does it mean? And I want to remind you, the secret to holy living is not being a good person. We're not just holy and shine with halos and whatever. Holiness means focusing on God and valuing Him above everything else. It's really simple. Saying, Jesus, you're the King. You're worthy of worship. You're where my trust is. You're where my hope is and where my worship goes to. We have lots of opportunity for that in the Eastern Sierra. So I pray next time you see the mountains, you see the sunrise, or you see the beautiful, amazing people that God has created, you give God glory. You worship Him first. So there's hope for you. There's hope for me. It's only in Jesus Christ. All right, until next time, this has been Eddie Davis with Hope Shots. I feel a little silly saying that.